and welcome back to SuperCoach Edge. Well, that's all she wrote, ladies and gents. Another season done and dusted, with curtains drawn on the 2025 SuperCoach season. As always, we've had highs and a hell of a lot of lows and hurdles to navigate, but it's been fun, I guess, amongst all the madness of it all. And we will use this episode, of course, the closing episode, the finale, to look back on some key takeaways from 2025 and take a quick look into perhaps those players that we may be having our eye on for 2026. But Liam, great to see you, fine fellow, joining us for the finale. How are things on your end? And a bit of a relief, I imagine, for both of us, as I spoke about pre-record, as a Carlton and Essendon fan, because thank God that season's done.
Thank God it's over.
But from a SuperCoach perspective, every single way. Probably applies a bit to SuperCoach as well, because I know you were having some issues. You had quite a few donuts towards the end.
I go shipped it from probably the end of the buys.
I was close to doing that, which sounds strange because I actually didn't have any donuts, but it hit me hardest in the prelim with Grundy missing with concussion, and that scuttled a whole host of my all-important cash leagues. And I made it through to one grand final, and I faced someone who had Cherry in their team, who scored that 180 odd, and that got me, absolutely got me. And, the previous week, I think they may have owned, because like Sheasel went bananas, and I was like, yeah. Hopefully they don't own Sheasel, because there was like preceding week where they didn't own the player that went big. And I was like, oh yeah, good. But of course they own them. So I couldn't make up the ground that way, but grand final wise, it was not good. And across the finals, I was in your mindset. I think I was like, you know what? I'm over it, because being a Carlton supporter, at least I had SuperCoach to lean back on, but it was kind of towards that part of the season where both were lining up in terms of frustration and wanting the season to finish.
No, that's it. I think I'm just having a look back, because I was like, when was my last trade? My last trade was in round 18.
Was that before you went to Japan?
Yeah, I think it was while I was in Japan, because I'm just looking back at the games. What game was in that week?
And 18.
That was when Essendon played Richmond. Yeah, I was in Japan for that game. So I think I made that last trade while I was there. And it was like, let's be over. Let's be done with this.
And I imagine if you were here and able to, and I'm not sure if you watched that game on replay or saw highlights, I should say lowlights.
Yeah, was there a highlight from that game?
That was one of the worst games I think I've ever seen. And I know there's been quite a few that you always say, oh, this is the worst game. But in terms of quality, both teams were turning over the football. This was like Reezy's grade type stuff where guys just did not have skills at all. I'm like, you guys are supposed to be AFL footballers. I know there's so many young guys in the team, so many injured players not playing, the top liners for Essendon. But I was so frustrated. If I was at the game, I would have like just whacked on a jumper, run out there, and you wouldn't have known I was out there with the same skill set as what they had. It was crazy.
Yeah. Just looking back at that, I will admit I did not watch it.
You saved yourself a lot of frustration.
Yeah,
I don't even support Essendon or Richmond, and I was frustrated watching it. I'm like, what is going on? That was a good time to leave the country for both purposes of SuperCoach and for that. So we are here, of course, Liam, to bid farewell to the season that was.
Thank God.
Thank God. And of course, it's been a busy year for both of us on work front, personal front, everything, Liam, for both of us respectively. But I've been trying to continue the handles, and I'm struggling.
Oof.
Just
I
reading
haven't
out the
done
handles.
this in a while. I haven't actually practiced this. So this is off the cuff.
Yeah, well, let's see how you go. Well, for me, every week it's off the cuff, and I fail spectacularly every time. So we'll see how you go.
Let's see if I can dust out the cobwebs. Before we do get stuck into this episode, we will run through the socials. As always, you can make sure you're following us on YouTube. Just search SuperCoach Edge, and don't forget to like and subscribe so you are notified when our content does drop from week to week. On Twitter, you'll find us at SuperCoach_Edge, Damon at DamonJ88, myself at Liam Evans _95, Facebook, Insta, TikTok. Search SuperCoach Edge. You'll find us there.
Very good. You nailed that. Jeez, look at this. Just like riding a bike, isn't it?
I know, it actually was like riding a bike. Just rolls off the tongue.
It does. Once you get going, it's just, wee. Hey, look, Mum, I can do it.
Sometimes I still answer the phone from my first, like I'm answering it from when I had my first job because it just comes out naturally sometimes. Like, hi, it's just Liam calling from E Club.
Yeah.
And I'm like, whoa, that's a weird little throwback.
Yeah. That's it reminds me of when I was working in retail at the Good Guys, one of my earlier jobs. I wouldn't call it a career. Although for some that worked there, it was a career. I don't know how they did it. Some of the oldies there. But I remember like that just reminded me of when I would be on the phone to someone and they'd call in obviously and they'd want to be patched through to a department. And I'd be like, yep, no worries. I'll patch it through to say, white goods, washing machines, fridges. And then over the loudspeaker, tap, tap. And I'd be like, it's a Good Guy, CFO, this is done. And I'd like get halfway through and realize, and this would be over the loudspeaker, and people would like just stop and turn and look at me. My colleagues next to me pissing themselves laughing. When you get into like, the zone, that's just kind of where it's at. And you did it very well, Liam. You did that very well with those handles. So, well, Liam, let's
Muscle
go
memory.
through muscle memory.
Yep.
Let's go through how we fared in the last round of the season, 2025 rather, round 24. And of course, we will recap who was victorious now in season head-to-head, which was decided quite a few weeks ago, so no surprise there. But for round 24, I ended up scoring a 2,598, nice. And a bit of a strange one because I thought it was actually below par. A lot of the grand finals that I played, well, the one grand final I played in, the other ones which were like the bottom 8 grand finals that I was in. I was coming up against teams that were scoring around about the mark or higher than me. And I was okay, well, maybe this is below par. But as it turned out, and mind you, in the preceding weeks, I had actually slid outside the top 10K and I'm like, here we go. The one thing I wanted to like aim for, I'm not going to achieve. But I ended up rising 1,284 spots to finish ranked 8,833rd overall. So I made it, thankfully. Didn't quite get to the 5K mark, somewhere in between 5K and 10K. So I'll take it. But
Nice.
it was a bit of a trying season. It was a bit of a strange one as well because I was going back through, having a look to see where it all went wrong. And it didn't really go wrong. I stagnated. And I don't know what the issue is. Of course, I went through my Team Talk episode for those of you out there who may have tuned in. If you haven't, go and check it out because go into detail of like the point of where I was the highest ranked and I just kind of slid, but like stagnated, went back and forth, and probably a good opportunity for us to go through and recap, in terms of where we were highest ranked, best team value, best trade, best value trade, worst trade, all that sort of stuff. So for me, my highest rank was in round 15, where I was ranked 5,992nd. And then from there, I slid 6,000, 8,000, 9,000, back down to 8,000 for a couple of weeks, 7,000, 9,000, 10,000, and then finished 8,833rd. So I was still making trades and I'd upgraded my team to full primo. There were a couple of injuries I had to navigate with Connor Rosie being out for a week here or there. Cherry, of course, being suspended. I traded him out to Gawn. Jackson went to Grundy. And I was well set and was able to cover the Rankin absence for being an idiot with Angus Clark from your mob, who ended up tunning up. So it wasn't too bad, but it was just a very, very strange back part of the season because there was no rhyme or reason to it. But I think like going back through, it must have been due to the fact that obviously primos were underperforming and it was like some primos were performing well in one week, the other primos weren't. And it was like the odd week that they would go well and the others wouldn't. It was just, there was no consistency and continuity. So it really hurt me. And I went through, of course, in that team talk and identified those issues. Zorko being one of those, Lockie Neal being another one, 2 guys that I didn't want to start in my team because of their age profile and regression, which ended up happening. And I was kind of swindled into, getting them into the team because of the fact that was the hurricane in the preseason meant that they didn't have the early, buy. So went against what I'd planned to do. But in terms of highest team value, or team value towards the end, I should say, at round 24, I was 14,105,100. The highest team value was in round 23, 14,172,000. So not too bad. And I was around about the mark in terms of the team value at the end, as I was this season compared to 2024. But best trade, Roberts to Bont. I think that's hands down a big upgrade there. Best value trade was Xavier Lindsay to Zach Butters, which I was allowed to do by going Vicentini to Zach Johnson. Worst trade was Sartis to the Chad Warner. Now that cost 271K, and Warner did sweet fuck all, really. It was just a terrible season by him. Another one who kind of falls into that bracket was Petrarca. I went Oliver to track, and he was priced at around about 497K odd or thereabouts, and actually ended the season cheaper than that. Worst luck was trading in Grundy, which looked like a great trade initially with his big score. Scored a 200, scored very, very nicely against North Melbourne that first week I got him in when Shorey was suspended. And then, of course, Grundy missed the crucial prelim final through concussion, which just scuttled things. But outside of that, Liam, a so-so season. But what about you? How do you rate things? How do you assess things on your end?
Yeah, so round 24, let's just jump in and have a look. Scored 2,376. This is probably the first time I'm actually looking at it. Finished the season ranked, lovely, 51,549th overall. But I did go up.
Oh, there you go.
Oh, sorry, 52,860. So I was looking at my total score, basically the same. 302 spots. Whew. Nice little climb there. I did end the season, as we all know, with a number of donuts. Let's have a quick look at just how many.
I think there was weeks there where you had, I think you were rolling with 21 players. So you didn't have, obviously, the flex, and then you were down a player for a donut, and then you were down to 20, I think, for a week or two.
Yeah.
And actually, you almost outscored me in one of those weeks as well. You're actually scoring quite well, considering you were having donuts, and I was going shit full.
If I could have actually, fielded a team,
you would have actually gone all right.
I probably would have not do like most of the players I have were not terrible. Yeah. So this week I had I did 2 donuts. It's nice.
Oh, that's all right.
It's nice. Got Dewar coming in for 26.
Oh, you'll take that.
Take that. Simpson, obviously, with his shoulder was out. I mean, that was on field. Those were the donuts on field, but my off-field players, I just didn't have the swing to get someone in the midfield, which was probably the biggest issue. But I had Nick Martin with an ACL, Chera with whatever he had.
The knee,
Simpson, JHF, Gray from...
Oh, Jesus, JHF as well.
Yeah. So I had a number of players that I basically got to a point, I think, where because I was behind, I was just going, trade, make trades, see what happens.
Have some fun.
Kind of was at a point where I was like, whatever happens. And then was knowing I was going to kind of go shit because I was down to so few trades.
Yeah.
And then I ended up with one trade left in round. So I had one trade left in round 16 after round 16.
Mm-hmm.
And then I held off. I didn't use it in round 17, but I was like, in round 18, that's it. Stuff it. Let's just finish this.
Yeah. At least you don't have to worry about it and think about it when you're in Japan. That's the thing. Like there's no pull to like check the scores or whatever. It's just like, well, whatever happens, and I'll check it after I've enjoyed my holiday.
That was it. So looking at that, highest rank for the season was 23,289. When was that? A season rank. That was quite early, I think. I thought, well, no, it was around 12, I think. So I did have a big dip and then kind of made my way back, and then sort of injury started to hit, and that was when it kind of petered out, obviously, towards the end of the season. Highest team value was 13,799,000. Best trade, I reckon. Just having a quick look at them all. I don't know if I liked any of my trades particularly. I don't think sounds bad when I say it that way. I mean it more in the sense that, like, looking at it, I don't know if any of them were particularly out there. You know what I mean? Like, I think probably one of my best value trades was Lindsay up to McCluggage,
Yeah, wow.
which was nice. Which was really came down. I just had money in the bank. I had cash in the bank, which let me get up to him. But that was probably the most out there trade. It's probably the best value trade, but I'd also probably one of the best trades that I got to make. Or Robertson, I guess, to Butters.
What round was that, like to McCluggage? Because I remember you going for him, and it was a really good point of difference at that stage as well. I mean,
it was round 13.
Round
and I
13.
think it was like he had tonned up every week when I got him.
Yeah.
He'd dropped below the ton once, and then the week I got him, I think he dropped below the ton for the second time. And I was like, you've got to be kidding me.
Yeah. But yeah, he ended up being
but that's worked out well.
Third for total points and average-wise, overall, 6th highest average. And for midfielders, yeah, he was third behind Bont, Butters. Shit. So yeah, it was a really good trade in for sure.
So that was probably, and that was when I was probably still trying to look at it going, well, what can I do to kind of climb the ranks? And you can kind of look there. Round 13 was kind of when I started to dip back down because I had no trades left. Or was starting to get no trades.
Yeah, donuts.
But yeah, I think that's where it took a turn for the season. Worst trade? Looking at you, Joel Frazier.
Oh yeah, that bloke. I forgot about him.
Oh, did I have forgot about that trade?
I was close to getting him in my team. I remember.
Joel Frazier, probably the worst trade. I mean, I've got a lot of players that I started that I don't know why I did it.
And guys that I forgot, I don't know if it's for you as well, your case, but guys that I forgot I had in my team that I just literally erased from my memory for good reason. Jaden Short.
Yeah, Jaden Short, I forgot I'd started him. Perryman.
Perryman, of course.
I remember saying in the preseason, I don't understand why anyone's going for it. And then I got sucked in because I was like, well, what if he does so well? Everyone else has him. And then I started him and I was like, why do I hate myself?
Yeah.
Who else was there? I mean, looking back, there's just some.
Hey, it could be worse. At least you didn't trade him in and they have to trade him out, which is what I did. That's true. With Lockie Neal and what I wanted to do with Dane Zorko, but I didn't have any trades left.
Did I do that with Neal as well? I think I traded Neal back out.
It's one of those things, isn't it? Like, and it's probably, we'll speak about it a bit later in terms of key learnings, but it's one of those things that you have like a gut feeling about something and like strategy wise, you're like, I'm going to do this. And then you think, oh, wait a second, like because the crowd are going this direction, if I don't go with them, I'm going to fall behind massively. But that's the risk. It's like risk v reward, isn't it? And
that's
some work out, others don't.
And I think it's about playing the percentages on those. If it looks like it's, a big chance of working out, it's like not starting Bailey Smith probably is one of those things where you go, big risk. And obviously, I mean, I didn't start him, but I could trade him in.
Certainly.
So that was fine, but it's kind of weighing that up and knowing that you need to be able to get those players in. Another player that I forgot I had in my team, Pal Pepper.
Yeah. The ball-headed dynamo himself. Yeah. Just want to give him a quick. I remember I was chatting to he was a SuperCoach pro, and he was like, he actually kept him for a fair while and profited 150, 200K, whatever it was. And I traded him out early as well in round 4, and he'd only made 40K or something, 50K if that. And SuperCoach Pro was like, I love him so much. He's just got that bald head, shimmering head. I just want to kiss him on top of the head and just run away because he's going to absolutely clobber you. Yeah. And I'm like, I don't feel those feelings because I feel jaded. The minute I traded him out in round 4, he became the ultimate.
Well, I didn't even wait that long. I traded him out in round 2. I was like, get out of my side.
Price. Get the hell out of my side.
I think he had that score of like a 5 or something in round 1.
That's right. Yeah. Kicked him in the back. Get out of my team.
And I was like, get out. That's it. I don't
Homer
care.
Simpson, you had to kick a man in the back.
Yeah. And I think the gut feel, I feel like I say this every season. I'm like, next year, remind me that I should just trust my gut. Yeah. When I start my team, because that's my biggest issue. I think players like that, Perryman, Short, players that I didn't necessarily want to start, but kind of did. Another one was what's his face? LDU. But I
Oh,
don't know. I
yes.
think
Yep.
he turned it around in the end. I never
He
looked back
did.
at him.
He
But
killed me in my grand final, by the way.
I started him
Or prelim,
and then
sorry.
had to trade him out in round 7 because he was just absolutely doing nothing. But again, it was a player that I had money left over and went, oh, I can go that little bit extra on him.
Yeah.
Whereas I probably should have used it elsewhere. But gut feel was also not that I kind of didn't want him, but it was more I didn't want cash sitting there at the start of the
Yeah.
season.
Yeah, exactly. And you fall into that trap as well. It's like, do you want that much cash on the bench? It's a bit of a waste. You might as well upgrade and get
Yeah.
someone in that's a bit more job secure and, in terms of scoring output and stuff, a bit more secure. But the question is, I'll finish off because you got a couple more there as well. But I do have a
Yeah,
question that I
sorry.
want to ask you. Before I don't want to derail you, so I'll let you finish off your little categories.
Yes, just I guess worst luck is the last one, and it's just really ending this season with such a glut of donuts just due to the injuries. Like seriously, I traded in Nick Martin, as we said, in round 12. He's then out in round 18. Um, who else is there? I've got Caldwell, who I traded in. He's then traded out in round 18 because
Oh
he was
yeah,
injured in round 17. So just those sort of trades where you have to burn them because you've got injuries or players not playing that you want to do. But
yeah,
also, I think when you're behind the 8 ball, when you're trying to catch up, you are trying to be a bit more aggressive. So you are likely to fall that way and end that season with no trades because you are trying to catch up. Like there's no point sitting back and waiting because you're not going to catch people necessarily by doing that. But yeah, I had a fair few. JHF was another one. Chera, as we mentioned, I had to hold Cherry through his suspension.
oh,
So I didn't have a ruck for a number of weeks. Yeah, that's it. That's my season. So just bad luck.
rainbows and
Everything.
sunshine.
That's
That's what you're
it.
saying. Classic. Now, the question I had, because I was only just thought of this because going back through my trades, but how many ruckmen did you end up cycling through your team? I know like there
Oh,
are
that's a
people
good
out there
one.
that have this issue most years. And last year, I don't think I was that bad, but this year, through probably the fault of my own, of course, there was Cherry who got suspended. There was Grundy as well, but that was an injury late, a concussion. But just scrolling back through, I forgot that I had Vicentini in my team. I had Flynn.
Yep. Yep.
Um,
Flynn. Vicentini.
I had TDK.
Yep. TDK.
I had Cherry.
Yep. Cherry. But Cherry stayed in the whole time. Yep.
I had Grundy and I had Gorn. So I had 6 ruckmen.
No, I didn't have quite as many.
Oh, sorry. And if you want to count Jackson, but he's a ruck
Oh
forward.
yeah, yeah. No, so I
So
had
technically I
Flynn.
had 7.
I had Flynn as my flex to start the season. Then traded him out
Yep.
early on because he was not named, and I was like, it's a waste.
Oh, wait, sorry. I
Uh,
forgot I had Marshall as well. That's 8.
yeah, no. I had Flynn. I had
Oh,
TDK and Cherry were my starters.
yeah.
Then I traded Flynn out from the flex. Then traded him back into flex in round 9. Then traded DeConning
Yeah,
out
yeah.
to Marshall. And then I think that's it. And then I had Vicentini for a while in my flex, I think, as well.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I forgot as well that I traded Flynn out and then back in again.
Yeah, seriously.
Oh,
No
I think a
wonder I
lot
had
of
no
us did that.
trades. No, I think this year wasn't too bad for me with rucks. I think it was last year or the year. I can't remember. Was it last year or the year before when I had injuries and it was just like my rucks just kept getting injured every week, and I was like,
Yeah,
I don't have anyone else. I was down to
you
choosing
were.
my favorite, Toby Nankervis.
Oh, yes. It's just like
It's good when you
clobbering
get to pick
blokes.
him.
Get suspended. Um, but it was just like, I don't know. I was frustrated with like, I don't know why like Marshall brought into my team because he was good value, smashed out the big score, of course, against West Coast. And then he had like a really rough patch. And I was like, fuck this. I'm getting rid of him because I was so
Yeah.
frustrated. And then, of course, the very week I traded him out is when he came good again. And he did the same thing in 2024. And I should have known it was going to happen. But he ebbs and flows. He has like a rough patch, good patch, rough patch, good patch.
Yeah.
Like, oh, dude. But anyway, something to remember for me anyway next year, not to be so crazy. But I brought Grundy in I was at that point like you where I was like, you know what, I'm just going to have some fun. Bring Grundy in and just boost up my interest in Supercoach that was waning and enjoy the big scores that he was having. But otherwise, I would have kept hold of Cherry had I had some sort of cover. But yeah, anyway, is what it is. But let us, of course, we'll chat about takeaways and stuff in a moment. But onto our head-to-head. Now, as we said, it was kind of a foregone conclusion, decided a few rounds ago. But we ended up finishing up. I had a comprehensive victory, 17 wins to 5 with our points differential, a very round. Now, when I saw this, I was like, yes, I don't know if it happens with you, but I love round numbers. Just the percentage chance of this happening, I don't know, but it just seems like it's just beautiful. A very round 2,500 points difference. That's good. That's like a round score virtually, which makes it very, very satisfying to read. Anyway, for me, it got my rocks off. Pants they just disappeared. I just love my numbers. Weird like that. But anyway, thank you, Liam. I said you may not have heard it, but towards the back end of the season, I was like, there is a chance that you could surprise me. And you did actually beat me, I think, for one of the weeks there, because it was looking like it was going to be 4 wins, and you ended up besting me in a week there where I was vulnerable, compromised. When I had my pants down.
Oh, I don't know how.
Yep, that is the head-to-head for the season. But Liam, it is time now, though, to unveil our last wrap-up of the week in parody song form with the Round Remix.
Captain Loophole, double score dream, best 18 heroes, that's the ultimate scheme. Supercoach hustle, points on the board, every player stats like a secret hoard. But now is the time to get your fix, it's the Supercoach Edge Round Remix. Round Remix.
Now, Liam, of course, each week we hit play on a parody song, which best summarizes the round that was. Now, this round's remix track, of course, pays homage to the season that was in 2025, the ups, the downs. What does Homer say?
I want it all. The terrifying lows, the dizzying highs, the creamy middles.
And everything in between. So this is the song titled 2025, What a Wild Ride.
It's 2025 and the game's alive. The scores are wild, the stats survive. Butters tore it up with 150 spree. But down went Jagger's knee. Guns like a mountain standing tall. Robbers Linker's hand that delivered it all. It's a true roller coaster ride. The highs and lows collide. Supercoach fever, it's a wild ride. Big scores rising, players collide. You win, you lose, you scream, you cheer. But we'll be back again next year. Next year. Next year. Captain's armband on bond sleeve. Every week he made us believe. Grundy hit 200 on a Sunday night, but Jerry's suspension gave us a fright. Trading players like a chessboard game. One wrong move and you're feeling shame. The rookies rose, the premiums fell. It's heaven and a bit of hell. Supercoach fever, it's a wild ride. Big scores rising, players collide. You win, you lose, you scream, you cheer. But we'll be back again next year.
it was. I don't know if you want to call it a wild ride, Liam. How would you describe it? I mean, in the song you mentioned about obviously Butters, Bonds being that captaincy, uber captain material week after week. Jagger doing his knee. A lot of people forgot about that.
Yeah,
not me as a Carlton man in the preseason. Going to be one of the bigger cash cows, but
you know what I mean.
At least it's something for us to look forward to.
Yeah. I'd forgotten about that.
We could have made the song, I reckon, about 10 minutes long. Just detailing all the ups and downs, the trials and tribulations that your team went through as well. But we wanted to keep it rather short.
I mean, yeah, it's been a wild ride. It has been a wild ride.
Yeah. I think everyone's in that boat though. And we say it every single year where you can see the numbers, like in terms of the viewership for our vodcast on YouTube, the podcast side of things as well. Numbers dip naturally, and it happens to every content creator. And that's just a reflection on people just having SuperCoach fatigue, I reckon. You run into trades, you get, you miss finals, league finals, all that sort of stuff. So it's just a natural thing.
I think, and it's probably, I don't know, it doesn't really come into our next segment, but it's something that I think as a platform SuperCoach needs to think about, because there's no reason that they can't look at some options to maintain the interest until the end of the season. And I think there's some simple solutions that we've spoken about offline in terms of like potentially gatekeeping trades. Which would just mean that I think it would, one, change the strategy that people play with. You couldn't be as aggressive, which I think would be interesting as well.
Yeah.
I think it might create a bit more interest in the game, but also it would just mean that by the end of the season, you can do what you like. I'd almost take away the rules of you can only use 2 in a round. I'd almost go, you can use as many as you want, but they're gate kept for, maybe there's when the DPP changes, that's when you get your next 6. So you could potentially hold your trades if you wanted. To have some extras, or you could then equally just slam, but you'd have to wait until you get the next lot.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think what it comes down to is we as humans, coaches cannot be trusted. And it happens to the best of us. Like, the even the most headstrong when it comes to trades, like you're very tempted. And towards the end, and I say it every single year that I'm going to hold a trade as long as I could. And round 21 was my last trade, which is pretty good.
That's not too bad
for me, but for league side of things, probably not so much. But at that point, I was like, you know what, bring Grundy in. When I probably shouldn't have, but it was just, again, enjoyment factor and everything else. And I love the idea of gatekeeping and aligning it with the new DPPs every 6 weeks, whatever it is. So just makes sense, doesn't it?
And just in a way, I guess, that might hold people in the game for longer. Because if you're looking at, you might only have a week or 2 without trades, and then you come back and you're like, oh, well, I'm still interested because I've got trades up my sleeve. But I don't know. It's up to them, obviously, but it's just a way. I mean, I always look at it as well that, my marketing brain looks at it and goes, you need to maintain the eyeballs.
Yeah, exactly.
And you can't do that if people start switching off. But that's another thing.
Yeah, exactly. And I think we spoke about it this time last year as well. And I think the inclusion of flex, that's probably something that, just quickly touch on that. I think the inclusion of that has been a very, very big success. And in terms of just helping keep the interest in terms of that, because there is that frustration where if you have someone go down injured, you absolutely cook for the round. And especially in leagues and everything else, if you're just playing for leagues. And if that happens once, it's frustrating. It happens a couple of times. You're like, you know what? Stuff it. People like who aren't as invested, obviously, as much as us, they're like, all right, I'm not going to touch my team anymore. And they clock out earlier. So I'd love to see data in terms of, again, people were losing interest towards the back end of the season, which is natural. But I'd like to see if people were, a bit more interested throughout the season off the back of the flex, because I reckon that's been a very big success.
I agree. And I think it was a change in strategy as well. Like there was different ideas on how you play flex for different people. which I thought was interesting. But I think as well, just the fact that with the flex and, the fact that it was, 23, there's 23 players on field, but 22 scores, it just meant that you could potentially take a risk on a certain player. That high,
like variance type,
that high variance player that might, pop off. You could not worry too much, or potentially also having a rookie not necessarily derail your scoring, especially early on.
Yeah, exactly right. And it was a saving grace. I should go back through. I mean, we can do it for next year, but it's one of those things that I haven't gone back through and had a look at those weeks where I copped an injury or someone was subbed out for some unknown reason. McRae being the sub in round 24, which thankfully didn't really impact me. But it was like stuff like that, which is frustrating and out of your hands. It definitely was a bit of a saving grace. But yep, don't mind it. It was a big tick.
Yep, agreed.
But just with regards to the round remix, now we have had some people, you people, of course, Liam, the good people of the SuperCoach Edge community. They've emphatically said, can we have these round remixes uploaded separately on YouTube? And you know what? We've answered the call. We are the genies to their wish. If that makes sense. Is that an analogy that works? Maybe, maybe not. But we are going to upload them post haste, and you will see them on YouTube. So you can, of course, listen to them until your heart's content. So they will be up very, very soon. But of course, we hope you enjoyed them across the course of the season. A few different genres that we touched on: rap, rock, a bit of it was a couple of rounds ago, Les Miserables. It was like the Greatest Showman type, your Hugh Jackman type flavor to it. Stuff like that was out there, and we hope you enjoyed them. And as well, let us know in the comments section down below if you're watching us on YouTube, likewise as well across socials as well if you're listening to us via audio podcast, what your favorite round remix was. And we might even crown it as the winner, of course, heading into 2026, and we'll crown that as the song for season 2025. So let us know down in the comment section below or via our socials.
Yes.
Now, though, Liam, it is time to look back on the season and reflect in The Price is Right.
Price is right.
The price is wrong, bitch.
So, Liam, this is the segment where, of course, we usually chat about the hottest prospects, those to jump off. But we will chat about, in this segment, discuss the top averaging players in each line, along with our key takeaways and learnings from 2025, which we just spoke about ever so briefly before, and we will delve into a little bit further. But Liam, do you want to read out the top ranking lines? So, of course, defense, midfield, ruck, and forwards for 2025, of course, based on average.
Yes, we'll kick off with the defenders, and of course we have Nasaya Wanganeen-Milera sitting in first spot in defense, and $2 million man, of course he is.
Yep.
Jack Sinclair's teammate, Max Holmes from the Cats, Lockie Ash and Lockie Whitfield teammates, and Harry Sheasel rounding out the defenders. In the mids, should we be shocked? It's Marcus Bontempelli. I feel like he's always there. Zach Butters as well. Love that. Hugh McLuggage, probably the big surprise there, I'd say.
The luggage.
Love that. Love that. Matt Rowell. I don't know how.
your man, the burn man.
Seriously.
I was so tempted to jump on him.
I'll take full credit for the fact that he is there, because he obviously listens to the podcast. Obviously, I can imagine that he does while he just chews on some grass,
Yep, exactly.
And pre-game, and he goes, "All right, Liam, I'll show you not being a good super coach option."
Yeah, because you didn't own him. That's the reason why he's gone so well.
That's it.
And I must admit,
starting next year, that'll be it.
I was scared away from your experience, and I was like, I'm not going to have to go through that.
There was a stage where I considered bringing him in.
Yeah, I remember. I recall you mentioning it, and you're like, "Nah, I couldn't do that again."
No, it's not worth it. We then have Nick Dacos, Josh Dunkley as well, and Andy Brayshaw rounding out the mids. In the rucks, we have, of course, as always, Max Gawn And pip to the post, it was looking like it was going to be the return of Gaundy.
Yeah.
But at the last second with a score of 186, Tristan Cherry did come through and pip him at the post.
Just quickly, with Cherry, can you believe at round 22, his average was 120.4. He ended the season 127. So his average increased by 6.6.
That's ridiculous.
That is crazy across 2 rounds, of course, the 187 and the 186 in round 23 and 24.
That's
so
nuts.
Grundy would feel hard done by. Of course, missed a game through concussion late in the piece, but craziness.
That's huge. That is huge. In the forwards, we have Baslenka, Bailey Smith, obviously sitting in number 1 with his average of 118, obviously a midfielder. Luke Jackson, Jack McRae, Isaac Rankin, Nick Martin. I don't know how. It shows how the dearth of forwards that Nick Martin. I mean, I suppose it's obviously based off average. So, the fact that he didn't play for a number of rounds. Did have some big games in there, but
still, it's still in terms of a numbers
it's a
perspective.
97.8 average.
Yeah, the more games you play, the more opportunity you have to get a better average than a guy who's only played half a year or whatever it was, or 2/3 of the season.
Yeah.
So it is. You're quite right in terms of it shows the lack of quality in the forward line, which is always going to be the case. But what are the big surprises? Just quickly, any guys there that didn't make the top averaging in their line? For me, I think it probably would be Caleb Daniel.
Yeah,
I thought he would
Caleb
be
Daniel
right up there. Just had no ceiling at all. Petrarca
Horn
maybe
Francis.
another one. Horn Francis, yep. Another big one who, were big on in the preseason.
Yeah.
It looked as though he was going to be, good before he got injured. But Connor Rosie, I mean, mid-year, he looked like he was going to be a shoo-in with the way he was playing off half-back. Of course, got injured, but didn't go on with it.
Darcy as well, to an extent, I'd say.
Yes.
I would have thought he would be up there. Chad Warner as well. I think big letdown there.
What a failure. What a failure. Him, Petrarca, failures. Big Fs. Anyway, just comparing it, though, to 2024 top line averaging players, the constant across both seasons, so gone back-to-back in their line, Harry Sheasel, Nick Dacos, of course, he was a defender, Whitfield and Sinclair. For the midfield, we had Bont, Butters, no real surprise there. Dunkley is another one. And Gawn and Cherry. And then, of course, Rankin and Jackson. So it's probably a 50-50 split almost, just quickly looking at that, in terms of new guys that have come in this season as top line averaging players and, those that have carried forth. So it's really hard to assess. It's like there isn't being like, okay, well, apart from, I reckon, Bont, Butters, Sheasel, Dacos, you could probably say Cherry now. Gawn, does he regress? And that was probably the question heading into this season that we're all kind of worried about, that he might have regression being a year older. But, geez, Gawn again. It's proved his worth.
Yeah.
So it's crazy.
I think we'll probably touch on it soon. But I think the forwards next year are going to be interesting again. But, I mean, that being said, looking at last year's forwards, it was Flanders, Heaney, Zorko, Moore, Rankin and Jackson. So, obviously, Rankin and Jackson. I mean, Rankin should probably hold his forward status.
Yep.
Jackson, I would assume, would as well. I can't imagine he's not. Obviously, we lost Flanders. We lost Heaney. We lost Zorko. Moore was still a forward, so that's been a drop-off from him. Baslenka, we're going to have no chance. Luke Jackson should sit there. This is now looking at this year's. Jack McRae, you would expect to lose. Isaac Rankin, you would expect to he'd probably stay the same. Nick Martin, well, he probably won't play until mid-season, but So he's probably not one to really consider. And then Riley Thilthorpe, the thrill house, sitting in that spot as well. You'd expect he stays there, obviously, but he's that outlier of that big key forward. So I think it'll be interesting to look at next year what that line looks like, because there's going to be a number of players that we had there this year that won't be there next year.
Yeah, we have to be a little bit creative, don't we? The other one that's a bit of a surprise there is Dane Zorko. Of course, he only was a defender only, but with Coleman going down injured, well, like he's going to have the lion's share of kick-ins, all that sort of stuff, and he was so inconsistent. Ceiling fell away. When he turned up, he just turned up, fell over the line. It was just, so many poor floor games. It was a down season for Zorko, and another year older, he probably fits into that mold now of being on the cusp of regression, and 2025 is probably that.
And I think looking at Zorko in 2024, he still fit into the defenders as a based off average.
Yep.
But he's not there now.
Yeah.
So I think, again, a player that's going to, it's that age gap as well, where they are starting to fall away.
Yeah. Well, bit of a segue here, talking about Zorko and biggest regrets. So there was another guy. So Zorko, I spoke a bit earlier, Zorko and Neil, they were two regrets that I had, and it actually worked out in a roundabout way anyway, because I had last second decision, took Zorko out of my team, replaced him with Max Holmes. And Holmes, he started the season, his first couple of games were good. And then he had a bit of a down patch. And I'm like, oh, here we go. He's going to be a failure of a pick. Stuck with him, and he turned it around and, of course, ended up being a top 6 defender. But made that mistake of, like I said earlier, following the crowd, bringing Zorko in, was a wasted trade, bringing him in because he wasn't a top liner. But the other guy who I think I am most disappointed in as a starting player, so Zorko, Neil, probably up there in terms of worst trade-ins for who I thought were going to be primos. Starting Sarong, Caleb Sarong.
Oh, yeah.
The biggest primo failure starting in my team, hands down, because we spoke about it in the preseason, and it was like the appeal was there. Like, even if he got tagged, as he did in 2024, he still showed a really high floor and was still able to score well enough to have a bit of a, mid to lowish ceiling. And then when he wasn't tagged, he popped off massively with the 130, 140 plus. And even those games where he wasn't tagged, which by and large he was tagged still, despite the fact that Brayshaw was killing it and had killed it in the back part of 2024. And I thought he was going to be more of a target. With the tag, didn't happen. But then when Sarong even wasn't tagged, we didn't see any of the ceiling scores apart from a couple of games here or there. So he was a big thorn in my side for my team, because there was a bulk of people that didn't actually own him. And especially in league matchups, he's still, 20, 25% owned, which was okay. But you're comparing it to other guys that people own, like a Brayshaw, who was lower owned and more of a pod. When Brayshaw scored well, Sarong didn't, and it hurt me really, really badly. So I think that was a big issue for my own team. I don't know was there any in terms of starting picks for you, Liam, that you regret?
Yeah, Sarong's one of them. And I think looking at that as well, so he's 2025. I mean, this is obviously hindsight looking at it now, but 105.7 was his average for the season from 23 games. 2024, he averaged 10 points higher per game.
Yeah. Wow.
So he's gone from 115.7 down to 105.7. But even 2023, he was 111.2. So he's regressed on the last 2 years. Now, obviously, that 115 was his season best, his career best in 2024. But he's still regressed from that 2023, which is that 111.2. So that's where I think there was probably a feeling of that backing of he's going to be kind of coming into that. You'd expect probably the same stage, sitting at that probably, top 6 mid, but really didn't come away with that. And I think, interestingly, it was like people were talking about, I remember early on, Sarong and Brayshaw. Could you start both of them?
Mm.
And I think a lot of people went, no, you have to start Sarong mainly because Brayshaw has the issue with the tag, which,
Yeah, he can't handle tags.
that
Whereas Sarong could in the past, and this season
it was
he
the opposite.
struggled.
Yeah.
Like was still able to like he turned up in quite a number of games, but like it was
It
similar
just
to
wasn't
Zorko, where he just like hobbled over the line, and it was just no ceiling scores at all.
That was it. It was the lack of ceiling scores because his highest score was a 149. And just having a quick look at his stats across the season, he had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 scores above 120. And then that was kind of it. The rest were mid 110s to 102, and that was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 scores. The rest were below 100.
That's crazy. Because
So
it's like
if
you're comparing it to like other midfielders, like we'll just say only 5 120 plus scores.
Yeah.
Compare that to a Dacos who had 10, McCluggage 12, Baslenka 10, Dunkley 9, Rail 13, Bond 13. So he was just like not even in the realms of being a top liner at all. And yeah, you would have been hurt by that a fair bit. I mean, but if you have a look at his 100 plus scores, what was that? 15. So not too bad in that respect there. Like he's on par with Bont, who had 15 100 plus scores as well. So had the floor thereabouts still, which was kind of the appeal to get him. But yeah, those lack of ceiling scores, killer, absolute killer.
And I think as well, when we were picking him, it was often as we need someone that I remember thinking at the start of the season, you needed to pick someone who still had the ceiling capability, the captaincy option.
Yep.
And that was who you were almost thinking of with that, and it just never came.
Yeah. It's such a good point because I remember thinking about that being like, okay, well, if he gets tagged, he's going to be okay compared to other players that when they get tagged, they struggle. Connor Rosie being one of those. And yeah, it just did not work out at all. But outside of that, in terms of biggest regrets, trading, as I spoke about earlier, trading Marshall during his down patch only for him to come good the very week I traded him out, and that did hurt me. Because the other thing I loved about Marshall was his fixture. Of course, it was quite soft towards the back end of the year.
Yeah.
But frustration got the better of me, and I was just like so over it when I should have held my nerve. And then the other one, the big one, breaking my rule yet again, trading in a key position player and a key position forward at that. Last year I traded in Charlie Curnow.
Nat Fath.
Oh, yeah, no, never again. I didn't make that mistake again, thankfully. That was the previous season. Or was it? Or the year before that? I don't know. Maybe it was every year before that. They all blended to one, Liam. I've done it too many times.
It's okay. He's retiring. You can't do it again.
You know.
Do it in the finals. Do it in the finals.
Yeah, very good point.
Give him one more chance.
Yeah, maybe I will do that as a bit of a gag. I'll put him in my flex.
Yeah.
But breaking my rule with regards to key position forwards, because I've done it so much across the journey, even dating back to when Josh Kennedy was like winning Coleman's, and I had Josh Kennedy, West Coast, in my forward line, ended up missing the last couple of rounds. I can't remember what season it was. Last year, Charlie Curnow, ankle injury, missed the last 2-3 rounds, whatever it was, killed me. And then I did it twice over, one of which was probably a calculated risk in Jezza Cameron, because he had that incentive there to try and, reach the 100 mark. Geelong were just feeding the ball on a silver platter. But Sam Darcy, my Lord, like I got swindled by the media, the build-up, he's the best key forward that we've seen in quite some time, which he is, but in a Supercoach sense, just the data I got swindled into as well, smaller sample size, looked as though he was going to be turning the corner and could have been what I guess Thilthorpe was towards the end. Just didn't happen. And Norton actually ended up outscoring him, I think, in a lot of those games towards the back end of the year. So I've got to be headstrong. Even if someone is looking really good as a key position forward, I have to remember they're going to have that big deviation in scoring, no matter how good they are. Unless they're playing for an Adelaide, which, as it turns out, Thilthorpe, top of the table team, being fed the ball so often, despite the fact being alongside Tex Walker and Fogarty. But yeah, that was just one of those things. I think I've got to be stronger on that in not breaking my rule. But we may have to break it because there may not be
Next year, it might be a case of you do. Yeah, I agree.
good options.
I think I agree with that. I think I had Darcy. I think I traded him out at some stage. Yeah, I try to avoid them. I try to avoid them at all costs now. I think with the flex, maybe towards the back end of the season, it isn't necessarily a bad spot to have a player like that because,
just one,
we said, just one that can pop off. But you've just got to weigh that up. Like, what are the chances that they do have that massive, massive score compared to, say, a midfielder, especially if you can get them at a reduced price? It's just hard. It's hard. You've got to kind of find them at the right spot and the right price.
It's a hard one. It's hard. Would be, yeah, we may have to break that rule, and Phil Thorpe might be the one. But I guess if you're going with the crowd, it's not too bad, obviously, because you're not impacted if they're a pod. But like Jesse Cameron as well, like he by and large was actually pretty good. I must say, like I got him in round 21, it may have been as the last trade, and he had 94, 106, 129, and then a 46, which is against Sydney. But that again was in my prelim, the week that I was missing Brodie Grundy. So I was down and out off the back of both of those issues, and being in 11.3% of teams, and my opponent not owning Jezza Cameron, that absolutely killed me. So,
and I think looking just quickly at Phil Thorpe, just trying to see if there's any correlation with his scores, but he gets ruck time.
Yes.
And so I guess to an extent that kind of gives him a little bit more of something, whereas I guess Darcy wasn't, as far as I know, taking much in the way of towards the end he wasn't taking a similar amount, but probably not enough in some of those games. Whereas I guess with Phil Thorpe, that's what he's going to do. So you're going to get that little bit of a pinch hit effect as well, which might just give him a little bit more of a floor for one of a better term, because I don't know if it's going to be big enough ruck time to do that, but it just gives him something.
And like Darcy, he had a couple of good games towards the end, I will admit, like 150 against Essendon, 119 against the Giants, 94 against Melbourne, and 83 against West Coast. But like those games there was a patch there after that big score against Richmond, 144, when a lot of us traded him in, 73, 73, 79, 86, which doesn't cut the mustard. And there was quite a few rounds there where he actually fell out as the flex player was subbed in over him because he scored the lowest in my team.
And it's just not worth it.
No, not worth the heartache.
No.
Of course, Jaden Short, probably go without saying, but he's being swindled to him. He was this year's Nat Fyfe, I think. Thinking it was going to be different.
Yeah.
Thinking he was going to have a role, and just it was a case of him being a Richmond player, I think. And being Jaden Short.
I think it's just him being Jaden Short.
Key takeaways and learnings just quickly. Spoke about it just before about the tag, but it's not something that I've kind of strategized by and large, but it did factor into that with Sarong a little bit. But I thought he wasn't going to get the tag, but now it's kind of seeming a little bit more obvious. Like looking at this year, perhaps we'll start looking at players a bit closer who don't attract the tag compared to, a side's top line midfielder, for example. Like, Sarong got tagged relentlessly, even though Brayshaw was killing it. And that, stunted, in my case, my climb up the ranks and hurt as a relative pod. But you got to look at the top line scorers. Dunkley, Neil by and large gets the tag. McCluggage could be another one as well, but he started to cop the tag towards the back end. There's Brayshaw, Georgie Boy Hewitt compared to Cripps and Walsh when he's up and firing. And Baz Linker as well, because teams for Geelong, opposition teams, are actually tagging Holmes. So it's something that I think I'll factor in a little bit more heading into 2026. It won't be the overriding factor, but I think I'll probably add a little bit more weight to it. I don't know if you've thought the same or it's something that you've picked up on, but for me, it was just one of those frustrating things that I never thought that Dunkley would have been at the start of the year when some people were trading him out. I didn't think he was going to be a top line mid, but
no.
for him, it worked out well because he kind of just escaped any attention.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think looking at it, I think it's like those players, particularly that you've mentioned, the Neils, that end up copying that tag. But it's also, I think, those halfback players now that we're looking at that are starting to get tags as well. So it's the similar players that you probably just have to be mindful of that do cop those tags.
Yeah. In terms of just a recap quickly on the crystal ball. Now, this episode last year, we did some crystal ball. Of course, SuperCoach Edge patent crystal ball, of course, that it does wonders. But we just wanted to recap and see how it actually did for our predictions for 2025. So we had a couple of notes here. Now, the first was we're going to be starting the likes of Cherry, Sheasel, Flanders, and Dacos, who should all be among the top averaging players for the respective lines. So of those, Cherry, Sheasel, and Dacos, of course, finished all in top of the lines. But Flanders didn't. And you could probably say he had a preseason back injury. And then, of course, the bigger one was the subsequent change in role. That absolutely cooked things for him. But otherwise, probably would have been someone to look at. But who knows now? Like he's a bargain basement price. Heading into next year, who knows if he's with the Suns or a different team. Does he go back to that role? So he might be someone that we can look at as a forward potentially, as a value option.
That's it.
What about the next one, Liam?
Yep. Next up, we had TDK will be under consideration depending on his price and whether he is outright number one ruck. Now, obviously, early on, TDK did look the goods, but injury and then Pitnet getting selected in form relating to the chatter about his move to the Saints on big money took its toll, no doubt. So he didn't end up being that number one sort of ruck, but he was one that we all jumped on early, especially when Pitnet was, I think, injured as well to start the season. So we knew he had a bit of clear space as the number one ruck. So I think he played sort of a role for us, but I don't think we necessarily considered that he would be the number one ruck to finish the season.
Yeah, and it was actually doing all right. Like he was turning up until I think he had the larynx injury.
Yeah.
And a lot of us traded him out that did own him. He was actually in 57.2% of teams at round 6, which is his top ownership number. And then he finished at in 25.5% of teams, and that was when Pitnet came in late in the piece, as you mentioned. And now though, like he finished the season priced at 395.1K, and it might be something we'll discuss just ever so briefly in terms of him maybe being an option if Marshall departs the Saints. But
definitely
the next one after this that we mentioned in terms of the crystal ball prediction for 2025 was Sanders. Could still prove a nice cash cow. Now, unfortunately, I started him in my team, and he was one of my first trade outs. Just couldn't get continuity in his game with the random CBAs from Bevo, and wasn't the breakout season that I had hoped. Is it going to potentially happen? Third season now? And that's kind of normally whereabouts players kind of take the next step. I don't know. I've kind of been burnt a little bit here, so I don't know if I'll start him in my team, but definitely one that I think I'll be looking at. Outside of that, Liam, the last one was, does the forward line become even more Baroness? And that's something that we just spoke about just before looking ahead to 2026. So
yeah, we got lucky this year. We had Baz, we had Daniel, we had JHF, we had Rankin, we had McRae.
Yeah.
Trying to think if there's anyone else. That was probably the main ones.
Yeah.
And I think next year will be interesting because obviously looking at those, again, the top line for 2025, Baslenka won't be. Luke Jackson, probably will be. Jack McRae won't be. Rankin would be. And then Phil Thorpe. I mean, I'm just going to skip Martin there. But Phil Thorpe will be. But do you trust a key position forward for 23 rounds? Probably not.
Yeah, probably not. Exactly. We may have to go for a draftee or someone.
Yeah, I think it's probably going to be looking at those. I don't think we're going to get any players that would necessarily. I think one thing that you could look at just quietly is who are the forwards in the finals, because it looks like they've sort of made the change already with some of those DPP, because you can't get Baz as a mid option.
Yes.
So I have been kind of having a little bit of a squiz there.
Yeah.
Just to see what we might be. Obviously, it's only going to look at the teams from those top 8 teams, but players from those top 8 teams. But just something to look at. But it is looking a little bit dire.
Yeah. Well, as you say, like Rankin, forward mid. Outside of that, scroll down the list, and I'm not trusting Shea Bolton again. Thankfully, I didn't get him in my team, but it's guys like
Joel
that.
Frazier as a forward mid.
Yeah,
might not be terrible, but yeah, just something to look at there.
Yeah, Sean Manor, another one as well, maybe. Bailey Humphrey, does he finally get continuity in his game? He could be another one. Philippou, does he stick around with his forward mid? Got injured.
Yeah.
So maybe there are a couple of risky players, but
yeah, but I don't think it's going to be exactly what we got this year.
No,
which is going to be a little bit concerning.
Yeah, exactly. In terms of the crystal ball predictions for 2026, there wasn't really anything that stuck out, but as I mentioned earlier, and it's more to do with like value players, and TDK is one of those. We can't deny it. Like he's gonna start, I think, priced in the 400K mark, maybe mid to high 400K, maybe even early 500K if they want to. They normally bump up the price a bit more on where they've finished the previous season. But would he tempt you? He's now obviously going to play for St Kilda. If Marshall departs for another team like Geelong or someone else, TDK 100% gets the outright ruck. Would you be tempted to start him at that value price point?
Yes.
Yep.
I think we were tempted to start him this year at, I don't know what he started at. I'd have to have a quick look. But if he ends up, I mean, it's going to be hard to tell because obviously based off his average of 96.9, so you'd expect it'll be higher than that 395K.
Yeah, he started the price at 547.1 in 2025. So, yeah, you'd say it'd be in the 400s.
Yeah.
450 maybe, 475 at most.
Average, so I'm just having a quick look at his average in 2020. He was 101.5 average last year and started the season at 547. So you're probably looking at low 500s.
Yep.
A high 400s. Yeah, I definitely think so. We were willing to start him at 547. If he gets the outright ruck, he just needs to kill it in the first few rounds and it works.
Yeah. Prediction, just based on him, do you think he will be a top, I'm not going to say top 2, because that's probably, two questions. Do you think he's going to be a top 3? Because this year was quite tight, of course, with Gawn, Grundy and Cherry. Do you think he can be a top 3 or better? Do you think he can be a top 2 ruck? He'd have to outdo Cherry and Gawn and Grundy.
So I think, I mean, I'm going to say this and then it's going to be absolutely incorrect. Gawn surely regresses.
Oh, no. Surely. Or breaks down or something. Like he's going to get injured. Like he's had injuries across the course of the past few years, but yeah, I don't know.
I think looking at De Koning, I mean, I don't know. The issue I see for him is just that he's going to have to take a massive step up. Like we haven't, yes, we've seen him average well across parts of a season, but we haven't seen him consistently play to that high level the whole season and to be able to score the way that we have seen with a Cherry and a Gawn and a Grundy. Now, I mean, I'm going to assume that a Gawn and a Grundy probably regress slightly. But then I also think there's, the likes of Luke Jackson and Cameron English who, I mean, I think we can count English out, but a Jackson and a Cameron who I think could be ones that do take that next step. So I think it's hard to say yes to that he'd even be a top 3. So I think I'd be looking at him as a stepping stone to start the season just based off the fact that he's probably going to be slightly undervalued.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly. And he's probably right about that mark of that bracket of Tim English, Darcy Cameron. You could probably ask the same question about Rowan Marshall if he goes to Geelong. Like, does he elevate himself now if he goes to a Geelong compared to sticking around? Obviously, with TDK, you'd have to share the ruck, so it wouldn't work there. But does he continue at his current rate, or does he elevate his average?
And that's where I think TDK won't work. If Rowan Marshall stays around, you can't trust either of them.
No,
it rules them.
100%.
It rules them both out. I think the other thing with De Koning, though, is that at that lower price point, yes, you're probably going to have to trade. There's likelihood that you're going to have to trade him out, but it's almost like there's a less risk with it because at that lower price point, you don't need him to score. He doesn't have to be a top 2 ruck.
Yeah.
He just needs to score well enough to be able to help you bridge that gap.
Yeah, and stepping stone to more genuine, I think, obvious prospects in the ruck line compared to if you're trying to do this exact same move with a midfielder where it's not so obvious as to who the top 8 mids are going to be. What we thought were going to be the top 8 mids at the quarter mark or the 1/3 of the way through the season didn't eventuate. As I mentioned earlier, like Connor Rosie looked really good, didn't happen as a mid defender. So yeah, compared to the rucks, it's like it's going to show itself pretty quickly as to who's going to be the top averaging ruck. So yeah, I don't mind that move. And just quickly with Rowan Marshall as well, in 2023, career high 114.3, 2024 112, and then 2025 regressed down again to 105.8. So could he be value for next season as well? New team, bit of a risk, new game plan. Don't know how he's going to. Obviously depends where he goes, but if he goes to Geelong, does it work out? Does he become a value player? Not quite to the extent of a TDK in terms of starting price point, but in terms of being able to increase his average back to a 110 or a 115, 10 points better than what he was in 2025. I don't know, bit of an interesting one.
Agreed.
But outside of that, Liam, it is time for the last time in 2025 to go through and chat about, of course, the best captain choices. No longer for 2025, of course, because it is run and done. But it is, of course, that segment, Liam. We pop on the captain's hat. We get behind the wheel, the stick, whatever it is. If you're manning, if you're the captain of a ship or a plane, and it is, Liam, called I'm the Captain
Now.
Look at me. I'm the captain now.
I love the hesitancy.
I wasn't sure if you were going for it or not. I was waiting. I was trying to watch you.
I threw you for the last time for the season. Of course, I'm the captain now. Normally we chat about the other top VC and C options, but as I said, run and done. So now we're going to be just quickly recapping the best captain options for the year. And of course, in my team talk, I went through and spoke about my top options for myself and how I fared for my VC and Cs. And I ended up averaging 135 for my captains for every round of the season. So not too bad.
That's
not
good.
too bad at all. I was looking dicey at one stage because I had Zorko, of course, that man again, as a VC up against, it might have been Essendon or another team, North Melbourne. No. I had Neil against North Melbourne, Zorko against, it was Neil against Essendon, of course, good history against your mob.
Yeah.
Zorko against North Melbourne, and both of them just were shit house.
Yeah.
80s and 90s, and today it was terrible. So outside of that, not too bad. But just mentioning here the top 5 captain options. So Liam, do you want to round? We'll start us off. Kick us off with who the other best was. No surprise.
No surprises here. Marcus Bontempelli, first place, averaging 130.6 with a season high score of 177. He did ton up in 16 of his 18 games with the equal most 120 plus scores alongside
that man,
Matthew Rowell, with 13.
I love you. So disappointed you say his full name as well, his full first name, like a parent. Matthew Rowell. Go to your bed.
Not even Matt Rowell.
Matthew. Go to your bedroom and eat a pile of grass and think about what you've done to my
Just-
Supercoach team
Exactly.
in 2024, not 2025.
Can't stand him now.
But Bond, no surprise there. But
yeah,
in
no
second
surprises.
spot, we have Miso Gorney. Now, Miso averaged 127.4, tonned up in 19 out of 23 games with 15 120-plus scores, which is the most of any player in 2025, and 2 more than the next best in Bont, Grundy, and Rowell. So for ceiling scores, Miso Gorney made me horny. He takes the crown.
It's insane. Absolutely insane from Gorn.
Yeah.
When will it
Old
end?
man Gorn. Never. Hopefully never.
In
Played in
third
Zimmer
spot.
frame.
That's it. In third spot, we had Christian Cherry with a season high score of 187. I think that was to round out the season too. Was that his last score?
Yeah, and a 184 or something in his second last game, the bloody smart ass. Of course,
Something
not in my team
ridiculous.
anymore.
Seriously. He had an average of 127 with 15 tons in 20 games and 12 120 plus scores too. So definitely one that you could have used for your VC or C most weeks.
And he actually was in my specific team. He was the captain or VC more often than not. And then I think it was Bont after him, and then Gorn towards the latter end of the piece, and Butters mixed among there as well. But in fourth spot, Grundy. He rounds out the ruck dominance in fourth spot with an average of 125.3. He had 16 tons in 22 games and with 13 scores above 120 plus, and takes the crown of the top 5 for the biggest score in a single game with that double ton of 200.
Huge.
Crazy.
Absolutely huge.
I was loving that. Absolutely loving it. In fact,
I can imagine.
I wasn't loving it because that round I opted to lock in, I think it was Bont's score of 137, and I was like, no, we'll hold off. Don't worry.
I mean, of course.
It was against Essendon, of course, and he just, he made me regret.
Yeah.
And then it was the next week. I put the VC on Grundy, locked it in, and Bont went bananas. It might have been Bont or Gorn again against Essendon.
Yeah.
Essendon have treated me badly, Liam.
Treated me badly.
Treated you badly as a supporter as well.
Treated me badly. And last of the top 5. So in fifth spot, we have Zach Butters with an average of 121, season high of 191.2. He turned up 17 of his 19 games, but had the slightly lower ceiling with just 11 120 plus scores. But still a great option.
Yep, exactly. Good old Butters. He's the buttery one is a gun. Now, of course, would be keen to hear how you went. Of course, the you people, the good people of SuperCoach Edge, the you people. Liam was calling out to you, the you people. If you're watching us, of course, on YouTube, leave a comment down below in the comment section how you went for your average for your captains across the season. And, of course, hit us up on socials as well if you're tuning in via the audio podcast. Now, let's polish off this final episode, Liam, by recapping quickly who topped out the title as our best performing coach in our open league. So as I shift across to that, we had 1,047 entrants, Liam, which is our biggest across our 5 years doing this caper. So credit to you, good people out there, for jumping in and joining the fun. But to take out the top score rank, the Mighty Pies, _Mighty_Pies, I think you can actually add spaces in your team name just for reference. But I do like it nonetheless. Overall rank, 21, Liam. So Aaron, A-R-U-N, Aaron, or was that Aaron? Is it that reminds me of that? Sorry, no disrespect to Aaron, exactly. No disrespect to you, Aaron or Aaron. It reminds me of that, of that sketch.
Aaron.
It's pronounced Aaron.
Son of a...
Very, very well done to you. In second spot was You're So Goulden with an overall rank of 33. And in third spot, SFL Superstars, Sarah's team. So the fairer sex as well, getting amongst it. Love to see that in 36 rank. Ran at the top 5. Hall of Saints in 4th spot, Luke's team in 51, and Humphreys B. Bear, Patrick in 5th, overall rank of 52. So thank you, everyone, for getting involved. And last mention as well, Zora Chiller, who is, a bit of a segue here, in one of our SuperCoach Edge contributor cash leagues, top rank amongst our community. 88 was his rank, Ryan. So bit of a segue. Let's have a look at the cash leagues. And for Cash League 1, we will mention Sloppy Joe Lay-in Pipe. Now, that may sound familiar because it is, of course, Jonas Goat Liam. He took out the top 1K
good on him.
cash prize with a score of 2,685 against Josh's team, Moves Like Jagger, 2-3-6-1. So a comprehensive victory there. Finished top of the table as well, mind you. Went straight through to the prelim. Dominated our number 1 ticket holder in Adam.
Dominant
did it for
season.
2. And then went through and won the flag. So $1,000 has already been sent his way. So best of luck. But of course,
Good spending.
Good spending. That's the word. That's the
Enjoy
phrase.
the spending.
Good spending. Let us know what you're going to spend it on, Jonas.
Yes, please.
And keep it PG, of course.
Yeah.
That
was
I know
a
what you're going
risk.
to say. Yeah, I know what he's going to say, given it is Jonas. But we love your work, Jonas, and thank you again for your support and everyone as well in this cash league. SuperCoach Edge contributor cash league number 2. Would you believe it, Liam? Just, I could not believe it. Now, when he joined again with his great support, is Donny's Good 76, Mike's team, I thought, surely he's not going to go back to back. Surely. Of course, he won it last year. He did it again, Liam. Back to back. For the first time, of course, it is the first time because it's only been 2 years in existence, but he's done it. He's done
Can
it.
he go for the three-peat?
Could he go for the three-peat? I mean, he's got $2,000. He's swept across both years, both seasons. He had a very comprehensive season as well, but had to do it the hard way, Liam, because he got knocked off by our number 1 ticket holder in Adam, who finished top, mind you. So Isdon is good, finished 4th, lost to Adam, had to go through and win every single week of the finals.
Yeah, wow.
Beat Nards FC, Lucas's team, by, mind you, only 27 points. Then went through and met that man we spoke about, Zora Chiller, Ryan's team, beat him by 38 points in the prelim, and then a comprehensive victory in the grand final against Lazy Sunday, Chris's team, 2-6-7-2 to 2-3-8-5. So congratulations to you,
Good
Mike.
work.
Is Donny's Good 76. Just, he's going to be rolling in the cash. Scrooge McDuck style, just diving into a safe full of coins, which you shouldn't do. If you've seen Family Guy, the sketch there, it is not a liquid. It is a solid. Do not try and dive into coins because you will break your neck, and it is a hazard.
I just bought a giant room full of gold coins, and I'm going to dive into it like Scrooge McDuck. Ah! It's not a liquid! It's a great many pieces of solid matter that form a hard floor-like surface! Ah!
All the very best to you. Happy spending.
2,000 coins is enough to dive into.
$2,001 coins.
Yeah, or do you have to go to cents? Like, is it like
Yeah, you would.
5 cents?
Yeah.
2,000. The bank will not give you that, so do not try it.
Yeah, exactly right. Well, there's a lot of things like vending machines don't take 5-cent coins.
Yeah.
So you'd be stuck. And imagine having to go back to the bank to cash it in with just bags of 5-cent coins.
Ugh.
It reminds me, I've got flashbacks to working at retail and customer service and people coming with literally bags of 5 cents and 10 cents and expecting us to count it out. My Lord, it's the dregs of society.
That's it.
Anyway, want to really thank as well all of those people that jumped into the cash leagues, because we call them the contributor cash leagues because they are helping support our venture here at SuperCoach Edge in a small percentage. And you guys and girls, of which there were a couple as well, thank you for joining in and supporting us. And hopefully you enjoyed the banter throughout. And a big shout out as well. He'll get a kick out of this, as he always does. Adam in the Discord, who slid into my DMs, threw his hand up and said, I know you boys have got a really, really busy year, personal lives, work front, everything else. And I am happy to help you in terms of putting together like a bit of a preview, a review of both leagues week after week. So Adam, a really big shout out to you, and we can't thank you enough, mate. You're an absolute gun, and really do appreciate all the support that you, not just jumping into both cash leagues as well, mind you, but also going far and beyond what you needed to in terms of doing those extra, write-ups and banter and everything else. So really added to the fun of it for both leagues. So thank you. But Liam, with that, ladies and gents, that brings us to the end of the show. But before we go, for the last time for season 2025, Liam, where can the good folk, the you people of the SuperCoach Edge community find us?
Yes, you people, get onto YouTube and search SuperCoach Edge, and please don't forget to subscribe so you do get notified when our content does drop from week to week next season. Not right now.
No.
But on Twitter, you'll find us at @SuperCoach_Edge, Damon at DamonJ88, myself at Liam Evans _95, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, search SuperCoach Edge. That's where you'll find us.
And also just a reminder, for those of you out there keen to jump on to the SuperCoach finals, please do it. I mean, I remember playing
it now.
I reckon about a decade ago. That's how long they haven't had it for, and I've been hoping they bring it back. And again, this is part of what can, continue the interest in the SuperCoach platform. So good form by the Brains Trust at SuperCoach HQ, because they've brought back SuperCoach finals, and we do have a SuperCoach Edge League here. So be sure to jump in. And I think we can only create open leagues. I've tried to do like the, 18 to 20 man/woman league. Didn't let us. So we've got the open league, and the code for that is 722074. So 722074. So make sure to jump into that. Bit of fun, bit of banter, everything else. And whilst this does round out our content for the AFL side of things, Liam, I will be back with my Team Talk episodes throughout the NFL season, because there is NFL SuperCoach for those of you out there partial to the gridiron, the American flavor of football. So be sure to check that out week in, week out. And lastly, Liam, before we sign off, we both want to say a huge thank you to you tuning in, the you people of the SuperCoaches community, tuning into our content throughout the season, whether it was on YouTube, in audio podcast format, joining in the banter on our live streams, or sliding into our DMs, asking for advice, or even just showering us with love. We really do appreciate your support. It is cliche to say, but I'm choking up, Liam. But really, without you tuning in.
It's okay, Damon.
Now that I've realized that it's the end of the season, I was kind of like, bring it on, but now I'm like, I'm a little bit sad. But without, of course, the good people of the SuperCoach Edge community tuning in from week to week, we wouldn't be sitting down to record as we do multiple times every single week. So thank you. And thank you again for those of you going and supporting us next level, jumping into the contributor cash leagues. Even as I said, just sliding to DMs and giving us the love and feedback, support, everything else throughout the season. So really do appreciate that.
Thank you to Damon. Thank you.
Thank you, Liam.
SuperCoach.
Thank you to
Elon Musk for providing us lots of content.
Yep, and a platform to really market our content as well. I'm sure he'll enjoy that. We want to thank you. Not that we support him, Donald Trump as well for really putting the hate on Elon Musk as well. That was always going to end spectacularly, like a breakup amongst those two. But that was quite entertaining to see. But just want to add that in because of just the hate that we get when we mention Elon Musk. It's all jovial, of course. It's not it's not serious. Some people do take it seriously. With that, Liam, that rounds us out for another episode and another season. So thank you once again, Liam, for jumping on. I know it's been a busy time for both of us. And, it's, as we said at the start of the season, if things get too busy, of course, we need to step back, because it's a bit of a lesson as well in life. SuperCoach is a love of ours. A love-hate relationship, of course, but we need to take time.
Mainly hate.
Yeah, mainly hate, really. Especially towards the back end of the year.
Look at you, Matt Rao.
Looking squarely at you, and you as well, Nat 5, for the last time in 2025 across the finals. But no, we really do appreciate everyone tuning in. And we'll be back, of course, in 2026 to do it all again. Enjoy the off-season. Liam, kick your feet up once again, as you already have, since round 18.
That's it. Yeah, I'm like, what is SuperCoach? How does it work again?
What's this?
What's my login?
What's my login? But thank you, one and all, and we'll be back. We'll catch you very, very soon. All the very best. Stay safe and enjoy the off-season. Cheers.
See you guys.